Hi friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. My name's Jonathan. I make luxury videos, unboxings, and reviews. And today I thought we would talk about my unrealistic birthday wish list. So let's get into it. Before I get started with today's video, I would really appreciate it if you can hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help my channel grow. I make videos pretty much every other day about Louis Vuitton. So if you like that kind of content or simply want to see more of me, then definitely hit that like and subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. So my birthday is at the end of the month, and so I have been thinking about what I potentially wanted to buy for myself for my birthday, and I figured I would do this video because I have about 9 items from my Louis Vuitton wish list that I'm going to consider unrealistic just because I will not be able to afford to get everything on the wish list. But in a perfect world, if I did have the funds to buy all of these things, this is what I would really want for my birthday this year. So starting off strong, the first item that appears on my Louis Vuitton wish list is going to be the side trunk MM, and this is 5,350 Canadian dollars. The reason why I put this one on my wish list is because if you're not new to my channel, you're going to be aware that I really want to add a trunk style piece into my collection this year. So spoiler alert, a lot of these items are going to be trunk pieces. And so I wanted this particular bag, but I'm holding off on it right now just because I'm hoping Louis Vuitton comes out with a damier print with the soft trunks, just because I have a lot of monogram in my collection currently. And so I want to kind of steer away from monogram just for a little bit. And so that's why I haven't pulled the trigger on this guy. And then the next item on my wish list is going to be the Coffret Jolier. I'm so sorry if I'm going to pronounce that incorrectly. This is such a cute little trunk. I wear a lot of jewelry now, and so I have a jewelry case, and so I figured why not get a Louis Vuitton one? I know, wild. And so I liked this one particularly just because it has multiple compartments. So there is a tray that can be removed so you can store a little bit more things inside. And I do believe my client advisor did say that the interior color can be customizable. Oh, no, sorry. It looks like there's only 2 different options. So you can get a red interior, which is probably what I would mostly entertain. It kind of looks like a burgundy, and then a pink color. But I do know there are some trunk options where you can customize the interior colors. I'm just not sure if that one is one of them. And then the next item on my wish list is going to be none other than the Keeple 45. Honestly, this one has been on my wish list for quite some time, and honestly, I just don't know when I will pull the trigger on this. I haven't been doing a lot of traveling, so I don't necessarily know if I will really need this piece. I know once I start traveling a little bit more, I will, but realistically speaking, would I be comfortable bringing these on an airplane? Probably not. So I don't know. I might have to just bite the bullet and buy a vintage piece just because right now these are about 3,550 Canadian dollars, and that is absolutely insane for this type of bag. And sorry, before I forget, the coffret trunk was 10,900 Canadian dollars. So huge price point there. The next item on my wish list is going to be the Speedy 35. And the reason why I put this one on my wish list, but not necessarily going to pull the trigger on it anytime soon, is because I want all the sizes in the Speedy. So I have the 30 as well as the 25. And then I do have like the Nano, and then I do consider the Keepall as part of the Speedy family. So I do have a variety of different sizes, and the only one that I don't have currently is the 35, as well as the Keepall bandolier, the 45, the 50, and the 55. But for the Keepalls, I'm not necessarily too fussed about getting all 3 of those sizes, just because for the Speedy 35, I know I could be a bigger daily work bag. So that's why I have it on my list. Although I don't believe that the Speedy 35 comes in the bandolier, which means with a strap. So this one will most likely just be a hand carry bag. Not too fussed about that just because I do tend to hand carry most of my pieces anyways. Um, then the next item on the wish list is going to be the Petite Mal, and this one retails in Canada for 8,700 Canadian dollars. And so I was debating between the monogram Mercosur one or the reverse monogram. However, I ultimately decided to go with the monogram Mercosur just because when I was talking to my client advisor at Yorkdale, he made a really great point with the little X markings that they show on the Petite Mal. With the reverse monogram option, it really did kind of fade into the monogram background, and so those details weren't as predominant, as well as the trimming of the trunk itself. On the Mercosur one is leather, but for the reverse monogram, it is monogram canvas. So they are both the same price point. So I figured if I'm going to be paying $8,700 for the Petite Mal, I would want one that has a little bit of leather components to it. And so the reverse monogram does not. So that's why I ultimately put this one onto my wish list. But I did see one recently on one Facebook group for 3,500 Canadian dollars, and it is looking like it is excellent condition. So I'm not sure of whether or not I would buy it from the store now or if I would buy it pre-loved, just because that is a huge savings in terms of buying it from the store or pre-loved. That's like almost a $6,000 savings with taxes. So and it's crazy how much the Petite Mal unfortunately does not hold its value. And then the next item on my wish list is going to be the Mini Mal Bijou. And this one currently retails for 6,750 Canadian dollars. So I actually did have the pleasure of seeing this trunk in person when my client advisor invited me in store. And I absolutely love it. This one is a little bit smaller than the first trunk jewelry case that I showed you, and it doesn't have that removable tray component. However, as I mentioned, I don't have too much jewelry, so the current trunk that I am using is a little bit more than I need, and this one will fit all of my current pieces perfectly. However, that is where the limitations is. It just has enough space to fit what I currently have. So if my jewelry collection decides to grow, I will have to use another piece, which is fine because I'll still have my other one. And one thing that I absolutely like about Louis Vuitton trunks is when my client advisor was talking to me about this piece, he said that any trunk piece that you get from Louis Vuitton, they will customize it for you. So they will send it out to their artisans to hand paint anything that you would like on it. However, I'm not entirely sure what I would personally get on the trunk. Feels like a tattoo where it's like a very, very important decision and it is permanent. So not sure what I would put on that, but that is one of the trunks that I'm hoping to add. But I am heavily researching the Mini Mal Bijou as well as the Petite Mal because those are probably one of the two items that I'm gonna hopefully go with for my birthday. The other ones are just things that I'm going to consider down the line. And then the third last item, this one I've kind of unconvinced myself. It is going to be the Keepall Bandolier 45 in the reverse monogram. This bag is $1,000 more expensive than the Damier monogram or monogram eclipse counterparts. Not entirely sure why that is the case. I know reverse monogram is not necessarily a readily available canvas and doesn't have many silhouettes. And I know that this Keepall has the giant monogram, which also is the same, but I just don't know how it would warrant $1,000 more price. So I think I probably will be taking this one off the wish list just because $4,600 for a Keepall, and that is not after taxes. So after tax, it'll probably be around $5,000. I think that is just insane money to pay for a duffel bag. So hopefully I can eventually find one of these on the resale market. If not, it was definitely not meant to be. And then second last item is going to be the Speedy Trunk 20. and this one does retail for 4,700 Canadian dollars. And the reason why I picked this one is because I don't have a size 20 Speedy in my collection, so I would love to add this. And then it also gives that aspect of the trunk because it has the corners, it has the studding detailing, and then because it also has reverse monogram on the sides, I absolutely do love that aspect of it as well. So that's heavily why I'm considering this piece. Not considering it for this year's birthday just because I really do want to get a hard-sided trunk piece first, but it's definitely going to be something that I will hopefully add into my collection. And then last but certainly not least, the last item on my unrealistic birthday wish list is going to be another P9, but in the size 20, and more specifically the red colorway. And that currently retails in Canada for 11,800 Canadian dollars plus tax. So it is a little bit cheaper naturally than my size 25. But I really, really, really do love the red color. I'm not necessarily too picky about the size now per se. I don't know if I would actually get another 25, but I would probably entertain getting a size 35 in the red, possibly. Don't quote me on that because that would make that bag almost like $17,000, I want to say, and that is a crazy amount of money to spend on one particular bag. But I would absolutely love the size 20. I know it is going to be very, very difficult to get just because everybody wants the size 20 now that has been released. But I'm hoping that with the new runway show collection that dropped, the Christopher P9 backpack, I'm hoping will be everybody's cup of tea. But honestly speaking, with that price point, it's going to be a very difficult, I think, in my opinion, for Louis Vuitton to move those backpacks just because it's gone over the $20,000 price point. I don't know about you guys, but at least for me, I'm pretty sure that the luxury market, at least in Canada, is not as well as in other countries like the United States. I don't see many people shopping Louis Vuitton or designer products, but that could just be me and my inner circles. But $20,000 for that, I would personally rather just buy a Birkin, and I'm not a Birkin girly, and I believe Birkins are about 17,000 Canadian dollars, but don't quote me on that. But anyways, that was my unrealistic birthday wish list. As I mentioned, I will be focusing on two of those pieces and heavily leaning towards a hard-sided trunk piece rather than a soft-sided one. However, with that being said, if you like this kind of content or simply want to see more of me, then definitely hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.